How's everyone feeling? Yeah, having a good day? Well, so I'm the last talk, and I guess I gotta bring the energy. So hope you're having a great conference. I really want to thank the entire LeadDev team for putting together such an amazing conference, right? From registration to logistics. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Rob, for all that you've done. They've been really helpful to get all the talks lined up. Also to our very entertaining hosts. Thank you, David and Plum. To all the LeadDev speakers, thank you that run the sessions. Hasn't the conference been amazing? Yeah. All right. Woo! Okay, and thank you to the hosts at the Javits Center, and thank you, the attendees. You make this possible. So I'm here to talk about making what you have enough. So let me set the stage. It was a beautiful day. Started like every other work day. I got into the office. I walked through the kitchen, put my lunch away, headed up to my desk, and along the way said hi to my colleagues in the customer support area and some co-workers. And at the time, I was thinking of some changes I wanted to make to our code base, some improvements to help us write unit tests faster. Or at least I think I was thinking about that, because at that time, it was a hot topic. It took us more than 3 times the time to write the code, to fix the tests, and to get all the stuff together to work. And so that was quite a bit of a challenge. And I was not aware that this day was going to change the trajectory of my career. And shortly after the day started, my phone and other phones around the office began to ring. This was when we had desk phones. This was not a good sign, because we rarely got overflow phone calls. And what that meant was that our customer support staff were very busy attending to existing customer calls. They could not pick up the new calls that were coming in within 2 rings. And as company policy, everyone in the company got a phone call, and you would pick it up and you respond to customers. And our customers at the time were hundreds of thousands of professionals that depended on us to run their business, to be able to collect payments from their clients, to handle back office accounting operations. And so these overflow phone calls poured in one at a time. Of course, it meant something catastrophic had happened, right? Slack channels were lit up, all our monitoring tools were sending messages, and our systems were down. They were down, and it was all hands on deck. And so soon after that, one of my colleagues had a leading theory that our back-end services could not process incoming traffic fast enough, and we had run out of capacity at the service that handles user logins. And I know as of this point in time, a lot of you are thinking, I'm not here for technical talk, or maybe you are. Anyway, good stuff's coming, I promise. So the good news was that we had an increasing customer base, but the bad news was that we needed to have started preparing 3 months ago. Because back then, that's how long it took for us to actually get new servers back online, or new servers online in general. And at this point, we simply didn't have enough. And we'll get back to what happened on this particular day. I'm Tobi Ogunbiyi. Currently, I'm a senior director of engineering at a Canadian-based fintech company called Payfair. And are there any Canadians here? Oh my goodness! Wow! So many of us, and they let us in. Well, that's a joke about how we like to say right? Anyway. So although we're headquartered in Canada, we serve gig platforms that are across the world. We help them to be able to pay all their workers instantly, and some of our clients include DoorDash, Lyft, and Uber. And this particular story was way before I joined Payfair. It wasn't from Payfair. And also a side note to those of us that are not Canadians, that haven't been to Toronto, please come visit. Such a beautiful city. I took this picture kayaking to the island, so come check it out. Come check it out. Have you ever not had enough? Can you think back to that situation and maybe just spend a little bit of time reflecting? How did you handle that situation? And what was the outcome? Did you learn from that experience? Did you grow in any way? And if you're on the other side, that you've never had that experience, I'm sorry, this talk might not be for you, but I would argue that all of us in this room already are making what we have enough, unconsciously or consciously every day. And so thinking back to our example, the one that you had in your head, why did you need to have to make what you had enough? It's likely because we have constraints. And making what we have enough is vital when that's all that we've got. And we have stricter budgets, fixed headcounts, and expectations of delivering results like never before. And then our people look to us, as leaders, they look to us for guidance. And so we need to first be comfortable with not having enough before we can lead others through the circumstance and also through our current climate as well. And I really wish it ends there, but there's no time limit to the economic climate of uncertainty that we have right now. We're living through tremendous financial, economic uncertainties, disruptions in different industries, and ours has not been spared, but we've all been through it. And there are two responses we could possibly have right now. One is of denial, hoping that it just passes, just goes away, or we can accept the reality and we can take action. And I believe that we need to lean into this particular moment of adversity, not dismiss it, not dream that it goes away, passes away quickly, expecting that we're back to how things were before with big budgets. But to be able to do that and to make a habit, we do need to have and we require certain tools. So back to my story. At that time, we had to review all the computer resources that we had, and we looked at the usage of CPU and memory of all applications, looked at all the metrics, the peak and non-peak times. We took stock of what we had. And we were trying to identify which physical computers had the capacity to run more applications on them. And so we took stock of what we had. And these principles applied to my colleagues and I in the past, and they still hold true today. In my current role, I'm sure they hold true to all of us. And these tools can help us to manage multiple client requests, product roadmaps that are changing, investing in uptime and availability and reliability, and all this good stuff. And amidst all of that and all that we do, there will always be something that stands up a little bit taller than the others. And so for us, the main thing on that particular day was getting back up. So we moved from that incident, we optimized the server capacity, found where exactly we could run new applications. And it was a very tough incident for us because our clients usually left great reviews, loved the product, but on this day they were not able to get paid, they were not able to invoice their customers for their work, and they were not able to run their business, and we broke the promise that we had, which was that we will help them with tedious work of accounting and back office operations. And then the main thing for the next year for us was pretty clear. We had to make a drastic change, and we had to move from this rigid server stack that didn't have any flexibility to change in business needs to one that would help us to respond within minutes instead of months. And so the timer had already started for us, and we had 18 months to complete this work because we did calculations, and based on our current growth and everything else, that was roughly the amount of time that we had until we were going to be back in the same position again. And so for us, there was no doubt. The main thing was building this new server stack. Now, staying focused on the main thing is quite easy to say, right? But hard to put in practice. And a tool that I've used is an arc. So first we align. You agree on the largest item, the second largest item, and all the other items that are in between, and strategically determine which ones you need to focus your attention on. And your resources, an example could be most resources could be assigned to the largest item, and then the other ones get some sort of allocation. But really importantly, you have to write it down. You write it down, you talk to your leaders, you talk to your team about it, make sure everyone is aware of the prioritization approach, everyone on the team, including engineers, even other functions, so everyone's very clear that this is what we're focusing on. And then you remove distractions. Keeping engineers focused on the main thing is tough because there's sources of distractions, and some of them are ongoing maintenance, upgrades, could be bugs, questions about the existing platform or product. They could be feature requests. They could be those questions that are small questions but require a lot of investigation. Whatever the size of the request, you can funnel all these items through a single channel that you can prioritize and make sure that it lines up with the right investment. And so back to my story, with our tight constraints of 18 months, we needed to build this new server stack, and we made trade-offs. Explicitly, some maintenance tasks we agreed not to do. We changes to the business that required a new marketing website that needed to be built on the same server stack we negotiated, and we tactfully dropped it. Thank you, David. Oh, yeah. Keeping focused can be quite challenging in general, but to try and stay focused on what you're trying to accomplish, it's not a set and forget situation. You can't say, okay, well, here's what we've got, we're going to do it, and that's it. Your prioritization has to be evaluated on a weekly basis. And making sure that your entire team is executing on that particular approach. I personally have had lots of success with having a weekly review, a risks meeting where all the risks to the prioritization and delivery are discussed, but most importantly, they're actioned and they're shared very widely across the team. The team knows, stakeholders know, and the output of that meeting could be something that you can physically action either with teams in one-on-ones, with you and your leaders, but most importantly, making sure that they're captured and you're able to action. Okay, so as of right now, we've covered what we have in our hands, we've covered what the main thing is, and the next is what's in the way. And there could be a number of things in the way of this execution framework, and sometimes they come in layers. And understanding, very first is our people are really at the center of all of this, and each team member is quite unique. They have their own personalities, their own skills, strengths, weaknesses, aspirations, and understanding how that team member fits into the larger team, how they're doing on a personal level creates the opportunity for us to support them right. They might have personal challenges that are getting in the way. And since joining the team at Payfair, I sought to get to know each person. Are there issues potentially causing mental health challenges? Is the person working on the right team? Are we working on the right thing? Are they motivated? And amidst all of that, there's also an area of skills development that we have to look at, which is, are there skills that are missing or gaps that they require for their job or require for their changing jobs, because jobs have been changing. Are there new responsibilities that they now need to be able to learn how to handle? And for us, things like courses and getting experts that we can consult were things that were very helpful. And then the next one is a big one. So at the organization, are there barriers? Maybe sometimes we might not want to call them barriers explicitly, but at my role at Payfair, there was one big area that we needed to work on, and that was improving how we released code. We had a business need to both audit all the changes that we released to production and get all the right approvals. But we noticed that our team wasn't shipping code fast enough because the existing process just did not have the right incentives to release often. And so we needed to, problem was clear, we needed to make smaller releases that were gated behind feature flags so we could ship code a lot often and get all the approvals right before we actually ship the entire feature that's user-facing. And this was meant to be such that we can have smaller pieces deployed of a whole, and then once we turn on that feature in production, we could then organize all our work, and the incentives then was present for us to ship smaller changes. And for us, that mattered. For you, maybe it might not, because we wanted to be able to track on certain milestones and ensure that we had higher code quality. And also, we had to optimize our production support process. So we realized that sometimes we didn't have the right people responding to alerts and incidents where things took longer to get responses from. So we had to make some changes there to maximize for time to resolution, for bugs, but also to maximize for those that had to focus on particular projects to work on. And your barriers might look drastically different, and it would differ by team, it would differ by the organization, But just like other speakers have mentioned as well, like you have to look for what makes sense to you and your team and work through that. And so after about 10 hours of responding to this incident, we were able to finally get our applications back online, and our customers were able to log in again. Tough moment, but we got through it. And as of this point, we had 18 months to build this new test environment. And of course, there were delays, there were setbacks. Things didn't quite work out the way we expected. But then the big day came, the release happened, largely smooth, a little hiccup here, but largely smooth. And within 6 hours after the migration, we noticed that we had more customers using the application than we expected. Benefits came in. We were able to no longer scramble and look for capacity, but instead we could increase the number of applications that were handling traffic. There were no delays. Customers could search their data that they just created, and that was quite euphoric of a moment. And so that fall day that I mentioned earlier had turned into this woohoo, beautiful spring day of new beginnings. And there's no better time to start making what you have enough other than today. And first, accept the challenge. Accept the challenge to make what you have enough, because we do not know when our industry will move back into a boom market. And let's not miss the growth opportunity that we all have as leaders today for ourselves, our team members, right here, right now. And one thing is definitely sure, this season cannot last forever. And the second one is use an arc. So align your team exactly on the most important thing and what you have to work through. Remove distractions from your team, especially some are easy to spot, some are hidden and require more discipline to identify. Focus exactly on delivery on a weekly basis. Help your engineers, your leads prioritize exactly what needs to be done. And keep everyone accountable to those priorities that you've agreed upon. And it is hard to do, but you can definitely do it. And in all of this, you would have developed a framework, a way to communicate, understand priorities, and something that actually works for you and your team, I hope. And the last one is focus on your people. I can't stress this enough. Each person has very unique gifts, and each team member has exactly what they need to be able to be successful. And help them achieve their goals, help you achieve your goals and your company's goals as well, and seek to remove all those blockers. And I strongly, strongly believe that all of us in this room can make what we have enough. Thank you so very much, LeadDev. Really appreciate it. And that's all I've got. Let's connect on LinkedIn.